X-Pac 12360. Featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360, everyone. Another week. Anyways, Christy, tell them what's going on.
Hey, X-Pac 12360 fans. It is another week. We're coming at you with another fantastic show. We're going to be breaking down the latest headlines, remembering a couple of legends, and we do have one very special guest in studio today. How are you doing, Jimbo Frank?
Fantastic. Ready to start the show.
Let's do it. Hello, Denise.
Hello. I'm very excited, especially to get with our guest today.
And here he is. Let me tell you, this guy, well, he may be the lead singer of hardcore heavy metal band God's Hate, but you also know him as an indie star. He made his debut in 2015 and has created a reputation as a brawler, taking on the name Bruiser Brody. You've seen him in PWG, Progress, and more. And in August of this year, he defeated ACH to become the AAW Heavyweight Champion. Please welcome Brody King.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, what was that about Bruiser Brody?
Apparently I took on that name.
It's on the internets, Brody. Stands forever.
Well, you probably get that all the time, right?
Oh, yeah. And like when announcers, they'll be on commentary, be like, oh, and Brody Lee. I'm like, it's Brody King,
Lee.
guys.
Who is Brody Lee? Oh, bro, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Brody
Duh.
Lee, yeah.
I had a brain. I recommended that. Anyways.
Did you
right.
back in like the Performance Center days? Kind of.
Yeah, I used to run in, not go off on another Brody here, but I ran into him on, independent shows up in the Northeast, and, guy was great.
He's really
Anyways,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so are you.
Thanks.
Glad to have you here, man.
I'm glad to be here.
I was, we're going to get into some other things and in a little bit, but the first time I saw you was at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Yep.
And I immediately was like, what are you doing? Like, how come you're not pushing this guy more?
Yeah, I was probably sitting in the back eating pizza or something.
Yeah, but you had these crazy ass trunks on. I'm like, dude, like your crazy trunks are all over your body already, man. You just need black trunks.
Hey, can I do my impression?
Yeah.
Because I know exactly what you said, and I'll never forget it. You came like, hey, man, the stuff in the ring was really good, but you got that ugly ass gear on. I was just like, oh, okay, Mr. X-Pac, sir. And you're like, just get some black gear and you'll be fine. And yeah, I think I got like 3 pairs of black trunks and I've never gone back. So
right on.
Yeah,
I'm glad I could help.
I'll hold that forever.
And you've got something to help our listeners,
Yeah.
isn't that right, Sean?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, and since a lot of people that know you already know you're a straight edge guy, but does that include help in the bedroom? Like have you ever heard of Blue Chew?
No.
Yeah,
Going
well,
deep.
Hey guys, looking to last longer and go a few extra rounds, go to BlueChew.com. I always do. I do these a lot because I'm a big fan of Blue Chew. They send me
Extra rounds is impressive.
stuff. Yes, extra rounds, and anyways. So BlueChew.com has the first ever chewable that brings your performance in the bedroom to another level. Check this out. They've got the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so they work. Since they're chewable, they'll work faster than a pill. So Brody, that's what I was going to say. Does straight edge mean no Blue Chew style help?
I don't think that'd be a problem. I mean, it's not a mind-altering substance.
Okay. Right on. So, I mean...
I don't recommend doing it before you get in the ring, because we don't wear much.
That would take the attention away from your trunks.
Sure would.
Well, I mean, I like to tell everyone, even if you, because a lot of guys are like, oh, I don't need that shit. And it's like, yeah, but so what?
Yeah.
If you can, be a little better in a bedroom for your partner, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand what the big shame is in the, erectile dysfunction medication game. So,
On behalf of all of our female listeners and all the women out there, thank you for that, Sean.
yeah. And and all the ladies out there listening, you should encourage your man and go out and, order some Blue Chew from BlueChew.com. And you can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And this stuff is cheaper than the other two. So this is a no-brainer. Plus, you don't need to go to the doctor's office or spend time waiting in the pharmacy line because Blue Chew ships straight to your door in discreet packaging.
I'm pretty sure that's like why most guys don't do it, because they don't want to go to the doctor and be like, hey man, my piece isn't working.
Right.
How can you help me out?
Yeah, I mean, there is it is embarrassing, for a lot of people. And hey, like for all the guys out there that are thinking to themselves, I'm not in a relationship right now. I'm not having sex. But I'm pretty sure even if you're not having sex with others, you're still probably dating yourself.
Yeah. You need that couple extra rounds.
Yes. And, treat yourself.
I love that. It's
Treat
the
yourself.
holidays, people.
Yes. Even if it's just you and, your laptop. And
light a couple candles.
Yeah. And a hot towel and whatever your favorite,
massage oil.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Add some Blue Chew to the mix from BlueChew.com. And, if you go, it's a great deal for you guys right now. BlueChew.com. Get your first order free when you use promo code X-Pac.
They're giving it away.
Basically, you just pay $5 shipping.
That's nothing.
That's it. Again, that's BlueChew.com, promo code X-Pac. BlueChew.com, promo code X-Pac. And if you go and you do that and you send Jimbo the proof of purchase, we send you something signed for free.
Yeah.
Maybe send Jimbo a couple Blue Chews.
Yes.
Yeah. I can use them. Shannon wouldn't mind.
I was going to say, I've never asked you. Why? I don't know. I have a hard time imagining you having sex, Jimbo. I don't look at you that way.
It's okay.
All right.
That's not what I meant. I didn't mean it that way. I know you have sex.
Hey, Jimbo, I look at you that way, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Brody.
Okay,
all right, that's enough of that.
One kind of stamina to maybe the stamina of those who are taking in Monday Night Raw every week. Had a great show this week where they admittedly kind of said, hey, maybe we're not doing our best these days. As one Seth Rollins came out, he called out the GM Baron Corbin and was like, you are why Raw sucks. They tried to spice it up a little bit. We had a championship match in which Bobby Roode and Chad Gable walked away the brand new Monday Night Tag Team Champions.
Yes.
What did you make of all this, Sean?
Well, I saw the finish, right? He did the old layback on him, and he did the crucifix. That was a finish I used to use with Terry Taylor every night. Oh, and I beat Ted DiBiase with that. That was, anyways, old. Works every time.
Just a couple nobodies.
Yeah. Interesting, that they're doing that, but I mean, like, what is the? I don't know, like, where they're going with it. Are they trying to say, hey, yeah, we know this is what's going on and too damn bad? I mean, I don't know what's the.
Do you think they needed to acknowledge and sort of address that everyone's been saying that Raw sucks lately?
Only if they're gonna do something to fix it.
Well, that's what a lot of people were saying on the internet. They were like, okay, this is something that WCW used to do, and now they're doing it on here, and it's not the greatest idea considering that people are like, okay, well, is something going to happen? Is something going to change? And then it doesn't, so it's like...
Well, you got to understand that, a lot of times you have people working their ass off to try to make something happen, and then somebody else comes along and goes, nope, I don't like that. Nope, I don't like that. Nope, that. Time to rewrite the whole goddamn thing. I mean, it's tough. It's tough, and like, I feel bad for people that are working on that show, the writers, everyone involved. The talent and. Because that's...
They're not putting in any less work.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, they're going out there and putting in more. Like, and they're like, I remember like a couple weeks ago I commented, you can always count on Ziggler and Seth going out there, and they always do.
Yeah.
It was like, what, the third time in a month I think they had a singles match? Anyways, so yeah, I just, hopefully they come out, hopefully this thing, the slump is, short-lived. I don't know. I don't know. Next. Any comment?
No, I don't. I'm not really familiar with the product right now. I don't have time to watch that much of it. But like you said, I mean, when there's like that match where everyone's like, "Holy cow!" Like, these two guys tore it down. I'll try to check it out, and it's usually like a Dolph match or a Rollins match or the both of them together.
Yep. So there's just I don't know. There's just so much talent there, and there's so many things you can do,
Do you think it's also part of like they're trying so hard to be relevant that they're doing a worse job at it? Because I mean, like when you just try super hard to be over and then it just not working.
Yeah,
just kind of like reeks of desperation.
And then just some of the like some of the dialogue that I'm seeing, and it's just like there's these attempts at humor, you know.
But then it seems like when they just kind of let the guys go out there and just do what got them hired, that like creates a different kind of magic. Yeah.
I mean it's not how they want it to work. That unfortunately.
That's right. And in some some sad news this week, we actually lost 2 wrestling legends last week. Let's start off with Dynamite Kid. You all know him as one half of the legendary WWE tag team, the British Bulldogs. Passed away last week on his 60th birthday. He, of course, made a name for himself first at Stu Hart Stampede Wrestling, and then in the early 80s went on to compete for New Japan Pro Wrestling. But that 4-year run alongside Davey Boy Smith as the British Bulldogs was where he would hold the WWF Tag Team Championship. And while his career dwindled down in the mid-90s, he ended up losing his left leg and would suffer a stroke in 2013. And we've now lost the Dynamite Kid, Sean.
One of the greatest of all time. Bret Hart. When I used to travel with Bret, and we had a lot of great conversations, Bret and I. And I never knew Dynamite. I knew Davey pretty well, really well actually. But Dynamite, obviously by the time I came around, Dynamite was, pretty crippled up and not doing anything. But, a lot of people know like the stuff about Dynamite, and there are some stories, and we won't go into, everyone has some dark stuff.
Everyone's got skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
Fraught with danger and controversy. Right here.
Yeah, but I mean, I just have to. I just want to focus on the things he contributed to our industry, and the fact that he was a huge influence on my career. Like, as a smaller guy, that's how you have to be. Like, in that time, and then when I was coming up, like everything you did, like to make up for the lack of size, had to be explosive, like him. And there was nobody more explosive than the Dynamite Kid.
He looked massive, like on TV or
right?
on video. He was a big guy, but like not in that time. And those matches he had with like Tiger Mask and stuff were legendary. Yeah,
man. And those were the early when I was a kid and when I was coming up, like tape trading was a big thing. Like you got, people would send VHS tapes and, there would be hours of stuff and you'd have like a list of everything that was on the tape. And, now you can just go and fast forward right to whatever you want. And like, it was, I don't know, it was a simpler time.
Was it? But obviously it was like probably a lot harder for you guys to get the content, right?
Oh yeah, man. And then when you got it, like you would dub it and send it to someone else. So by the time maybe you got a copy of something, like you could barely see it. Right? the quality was so shitty. But anyways, those were such incredibly important matches, those early Dynamite. Like, okay, so, when they decided to do Tiger Mask, when New Japan did, and they decided they were going to pick Sayama, and they needed, somebody, for him to, debut against, and they picked Dynamite, and Dynamite was so impressive. Like, they got each other over.
Right.
They went out there, and obviously it was supposed to be to get Tiger Mask over, and it did, but he got himself over at the same time, and just was a legend. And I heard a lot of cool stories that Bret would tell me. Well, not all of them were that cool, but Bret would say he was just the best, in his opinion, the best he had ever seen, and I was my name. My name was Lightning Kid, and it was pretty much a copy off of Dynamite Kid.
I mean, it's impressive, those guys that wrestled in like the 80s and 90s, that it transcends any like era of wrestling. Like you could take a Dynamite Kid Tiger Mask match, and if you put it in like PWG today, it would be just as impressive and like hold up just as well in the card.
Pretty good, yeah.
And like guys like Hayabusa and like all that, they were just doing this stuff that was revolutionary. And I'm sure if they were able to still do it today, it would be just as impressive.
Yeah. And Dynamite was a really tough guy, like all those guys. He came in the snake pit, and that's where Carl Gotch, Billy Robinson. Going back to the old days, there was a guy named Bert Assaretti that was. Anyways, I'm going off into the deep weeds here. We don't need to.
We could be here for hours.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Dynamite Kid, and rest in peace, and just send some love out to everyone that loved him and his family, and I guess that's it.
Yeah, well, it's nice to do that, and only one day after we lost the Dynamite Kid, Curt Hennig has passed. Larry Hennig, the Axe Larry Hennig has passed. We all know him as the father of Mr. Perfect and the grandfather of current WWE superstar Curtis Axel. But he started his training way back in 1956 under Vern Gagne. He competed in AWA and NWA throughout the 70s, 80s, and 70s and the 80s. He named his devastating elbow drop the Axe. We all are familiar with that. And even teamed with his son Kurt to feud with the Road Warriors in the 80s. They won the NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team Championships as a father-son team. So our condolences go out to the whole family.
Yeah, a lot of people know that I was really close with Kurt, and traveling down the road with Kurt, I got to hear no one. I've never met anyone that loved their father and looked up to their father more than Curt Hennig did Larry. The Axe. We didn't call him Larry, we called him the Axe. And
what a cool name.
Yeah, and he was the Axe. Till the day he died, he was the Axe. And that picture was from a few months ago, right there.
That was at WrestleCon.
No, was that WrestleCon?
Yeah, was
I
at
thought
WrestleCon
that
this
was
last
either
year.
WrestleCon or I was just up in Minnesota with Larry as well.
That was at WrestleCon.
That was at WrestleCon.
Okay, and so what was I saying? Oh shit.
He loved and admired his father.
Yeah, and Larry in turn, I've never met anyone that was more proud of their son than he was of Kurt, and it was just so devastated. Every father is devastated when they lose a child, but it was just times 100 for Larry, Larry was. I have one kind of cool story.
Do tell?
Yeah, but anyway, so Larry, he was a University of Minnesota guy, like Vern Gagne, and there was a bit of a rivalry there, and because they were both also from Robbinsdale, and and Kurt would always say that Vern was scared of his father, and that his father could beat up Vern, and he probably could. Jeez.
You were
I think I'm
just story.
I was going to go through and talk about different things that Larry did, and I don't think I could do nearly as good a job as Dave Meltzer, someone like that really deep dives and does some great stuff when it comes to bios on people. But I got to know
you knew the family personally.
I do,
which is more valuable.
Yes. And the first time I met Larry was at Wally Carbo's funeral, and Wally Carbo, I was friends with Wally. He was an old AWA promoter. And, anyway, so that's the first time I met Larry and his lovely wife, Irene. Anyways, the next time I met Larry, and I'd already been in WWE with Kurt, and so I was hanging out with Kurt a lot. We both lived in Minneapolis, and so it was the first time that Kurt ever introduced me to the Axe, and I was standing there I was wearing shorts, and he looked down at me and he goes, "Did you just get your legs out of casts?" That's a joke, meaning like that I have really skinny legs for those that went over their head. Okay, so yeah, that was the first time I met the Axe, and so I have another funny story, and no one else is from the story is live anymore now that Larry's passed, so no one can dispute this. No, it's just I put a tweet out the other night going, one day I'll tell the story about Arnold Skaaland, Larry Hennig, Kurt and I going over the border into Tijuana for a few hours. And so people's heads are starting to turn. Oh, maybe they went to the donkey show or went to that.
That's my first thought.
Or the other. But no, all it was like that was the last thing anybody had in mind. I went down there and bought a bunch of pills, bunch of drugs. Yeah. And when we came back across. Larry and Arnold Skaaland both when I was going through the line, they went and went through the line the furthest away from me. They got as far away from me as possible on the way back through. I could have told the story better, but that's fine for now. You had to be there, and it was really, really funny. So I'm honored. I'm honored to have known Larry Hennig, and I'm sending some love to the Hennig family, to Joe, to his uncle Randy, Jess, his Aunt Sue, and his grandmother Irene, and sending y'all some love.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, a few more of the latest news headlines. Everyone is talking about this. Big Cass suffered a seizure during intermission at a House of Hardcore event last weekend in Philadelphia. He went down in front of fans. This was a scary scene. Apparently, people weren't sure if it was part of the show at first, but we now know it's confirmed he suffered a seizure. An ambulance was called, and he was taken to the hospital. Actually, after all this went down, and of course, this is at Tommy Dreamer's event, he spoke in the ring at the time and did clarify that this was not drug or alcohol related, and said later that Big Cass is doing well. A little update on him. But I have to say, that's the first I've ever heard of any implication of Big Cass having a drug or alcohol problem. There's never been any sort of even rumor or innuendo as far as I've heard about that. Sean, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, you just see things like that, and you know.
I mean, they wouldn't have to clarify it's not if there wasn't a question as to whether that's a problem, right?
Yeah, it's just I just hope I want to see the guy do good. You know, okay, regardless of what the problem is. If it is that, you know, I saw him in Milwaukee was it 2 weeks ago for Blizzard Brawl, and you know, if it is like a person like that, like. You know, I mean, the way everyone knows that he left WWE and all that, like a person can be kind of down on themselves, you know, and beat themselves up and punish themselves. So if that's what's going on here, I just, you know, hope the big man realizes that, you know, okay, yeah, man, stop. It's time to stop beating yourself up, you know, punishment done. You have a lot to offer the industry, like obviously, else you wouldn't have been pushed like you were, and you can get back up on that horse if that's what's going on here. I don't know. I'm just saying.
There's a lot of mental stuff that goes along with that too, and it does suck that like drugs and alcohol is the first thing that people look at.
Exactly.
I also thought it sucked that while he's having a seizure on the ground, some fan or somebody is filming it. It's like
instead of going over, you know.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I've seen people take a bad bump and then have a seizure.
Yes.
My wife has epilepsy and she's had a seizure in public. So it's like the first thing people are like, oh, drugs and alcohol. You're like,
sure.
I mean, and your brain does weird things sometimes, and you know, it could be stress, it could be a medical issue. So
my late wife, she had seizures related to a car accident and head trauma. Yeah, so you know, it could be, you know, what people's, you know, the conclusion people jump to. That's a possibility. It could be head trauma. He could, you know, there could be a history of epilepsy. Yeah, we don't know. I just like the things I just said about him. I just want to double down on that.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, and another guy that you've rallied for in the past is Justin Credible, who has been arrested once again, this time for misdemeanor assault, violating a protection order, and breach of peace. I know we don't want to rehash this a whole lot, but, you know, this is a 45-year-old guy. He has reportedly walked away from going to WWE-sponsored rehab, and he's been filming a documentary about the struggles he's been going through the last couple of years in and out of jail and substance abuse. Do you have a message for him, Sean?
I don't know if he would get it, being that he's in jail right now. I've been, not like that. I had my own way of being all, being down and being, in my version of hell. Mm-hmm. And so, like, my heart hurts for him, I love the guy. You guys know that, I really care a lot about him. And I just, we try not to give up on people because, people know, when I was ready to fight, people were there for me, man, but he's got to do his part. You got to do your part. And, man, like, he just keeps, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even start talking about this, maybe, but I just... I just hate seeing this because there's children involved, and there's this documentary being made, and the documentary is the documentary, and it's not a scripted. Like, you don't get to write the finish of the document,
right.
Unless you actually, we get to write our own story. But, like, that doesn't mean you get to tell the guy making the documentary how he's supposed to.
Like, it's going to be a happy ending.
Yeah, he sees the story how he sees it.
Yeah.
Or he or she, whoever's making it.
Well, Justin's making it all himself.
No, he's not.
He's not. When I talked to him at WrestleCon, he said he's filming it and doing it all
He's
himself.
filming it. He's not making it. A guy named Tommy DiNucci is making it.
Okay.
They're paying. It's just. Anyways.
He's just adding context to this.
Yes. And, when you get, and as soon as you get out, or like, sometimes we need to stay the fuck off of Twitter.
Amen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
God damn. So I love the guy. I hate seeing this. This is the third time he's been arrested. Mm-hmm. For the same thing, for violating protection order, all this stuff. He's going to jail. Mm-hmm. Like, I work, you guys know I work with the rehab center, and like, that guy was ready to go pick him up, and he wouldn't go because it's so fucking frustrating. Mm-hmm. But I know, like, but I kind of get it too. Like, I mean, all right, next.
Well, it's good for people to be reminded that he's a human being, and thank you for sharing your thoughts on that, Sean. Now,
how do you, like, I know you have to go through your share of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And as a straight edge guy, like, how do you medicate? There has to be something.
Professional wrestling and live music.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always been my therapy, I guess. Like, I've always needed something physical to let it out. I mean, I've had a long history of, like, anger issues and stuff like that, and I mean, my wife would always be like, "You got to go to a show or something." Like, but before I started wrestling, she's like, "You got to go." Like, if I was going 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. And then when there would be a break, I would just be unbearable at points. And then the same with wrestling. It's like when I broke my leg and I was at home, it'd just be, I'm just a prick. But then it's like, I start to get it out, and then it's out of my head.
Because, there's the thing called dry drunk. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Yeah, it's like where somebody, like, okay, they quit doing the drugs and alcohol, but they're still a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Right? Because they haven't done all the other work that goes along with it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I always tried to deny, like, going to, like, therapy or stuff because, I don't know, in my own head it didn't work. But, okay. I mean, obviously it does work for a lot of people. But obviously something works for me. I think I found it. And it's funny because people are like, it's hard to believe that you have, like, anger issues and stuff, and it's like,
it is a little bit, man, because I've not detected one drop of that type of,
I would say that, I mean, my life is probably as good as it could be at the moment.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Shit.
And yeah, I don't know. I guess I've always just had my own way of dealing with stuff, and I never even considered drugs or alcohol to be that, like, crutch.
So have you ever have you ever mood altered ever?
Yeah, I mean, like when I was 16, I like got drunk a couple
beers or
times.
something?
I smoked weed a couple times,
Yeah.
but it just.
So
I never
you
liked
know, so you know what it's like.
Yeah, I know what it feels like.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've been blackout drunk before, or whatever.
Gotcha.
You know, like where you wake up and you're just like, what the hell happened to me? I don't know. It just wasn't for me.
Has there ever been like any? Not to go off onto the drug and alcohol thing, but like it's interesting to me because and I'm admiring the hell out of you for it. Like, has there ever been times like like when you're going through shit where you go, maybe
No,
maybe a beer might seem like a good idea, maybe a joint might be.
I don't know. Like in my head, it's like. I'd rather go get in a fight with somebody.
Gotcha.
It's like it's equally as dangerous, you know. I mean, like I've definitely been to that point where you're like looking for a fight instead of looking for drugs or alcohol.
So I always tell people this, Brody, and because I consider myself and I've got my own little issues, like I fly off the handle here and there and that, but like mostly pretty calm, and I don't get into fights, shit like that, and I always said that I was able to go out and in my job and go out there and unleash everything, like all the aggression and all that. And even though it's a controlled situation, and the matches that they're not real fights. I mean, it's still you're able to get that out in a safe, controlled environment.
Yeah, I still think I'm reserved though. I mean, there's been a few instances like at our school at the dojo where like we'll have someone that's not really respecting the dojo or my trainers as much as I would want to, and then it's like I've snapped on them before, and like then my trainer Chaos will be like, where's that guy at? Like put him in the ring. I'm like, I can't control that person. Like that person does what they want, and then like. But I try to use a lot of that in the ring, though.
Yeah.
It's definitely like, I don't know. Once I see that point, there's no coming back from that, and I don't think that's a safe place to be in, especially within the business. But I mean, you could definitely tap into that a little bit.
Has it ever gotten to the point where like somebody pissed you off out there, and
Yeah, my tag team partner actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was like one of my. I'd say it was one of my first 5 matches, and like, I don't know, I blew a couple spots probably, and like forgot some stuff, and he was checking me a little bit, and I wasn't having it, and we started swinging, or I started swinging on him, and he just kind of like put me in a headlock and wrenched me down. He's just like, calm down, and I was just like,
who is this?
Tyler
Bateman. Yeah.
Oh shit.
So
okay.
yeah, the only person I've ever tried to fight in the ring was my tag team partner.
Oh, that sounds great. Maybe
So he definitely like took the veteran approach and knew what was going on and calmed me down. But yeah,
that must have been an interesting scene right in the middle of the match.
Yeah, it was funny.
Were you guys wrestling against each other?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm picturing
We weren't on the same side. No, we were against each other. Yeah, and it was just like he eventually was like, "All right, calm down."
He's someone that's been wrestling, like 16 years and is finally
17
starting to get eyes on him.
I didn't even realize like that's the same guy I used to see at New Japan Dojo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not the New Japan Dojo now, but the Santa Monica one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if he was ever there.
I seen him at New Japan Dojo.
Really?
I don't know if he lived in California at the time.
Yeah, I think he was still in Oklahoma back then.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, he was at
Well,
Hollywood forever. Yeah, you met him there a bunch.
But he's been out here for a while. Anyways, this is about
10 years.
Brody King.
Well, actually, it sounds like those guys just needed to take a break and take a nap.
Oh, yeah.
And if they wanted to do that, you got like a place they could do that in?
Yeah, especially if you take one on a purple mattress. Here's a question, everyone. How did you sleep last night? How'd you sleep last night, Christy?
Actually, not bad for once.
Did you spend the night tossing and turning? Apparently not.
Night before.
Sleep is important. The quality of your sleep affects the quality of your daily life. If you're struggling to get a good night's sleep, you've got to try a purple mattress. Purple mattresses will feel different than anything you've ever experienced because it uses a brand new material developed by an actual rocket scientist, not a fake one. It's not like the memory foam you're used to. The purple mattress material feels very unique because it's both firm and soft at the same time. So it gives you comfort and support. Plus, it's breathable, so it sleeps cool. That's very important. I don't like waking up in the middle of the night all overheated.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, and I like my sheets to be nice and cool. Anyways, so yeah. Anyway, so it ends up giving you a zero gravity-like feel, so it works for any sleeping position. Going with purple gets you a 100-night risk-free trial. If you're not fully satisfied, you can return your mattress for a full refund. It's backed by a 10-year warranty, gets free shipping, free returns, free in-home setup, and removal of your old mattress. You're going to love purple. Right now, our listeners will get a free purple pillow with the purchase of a mattress. That's on top of the great free gifts they're offering site-wide. Just text X-Pac to 474747. That's X-Pac to 474747. The only way to get this free pillow is to text X-Pac to 474747. That's X-Pac, X-P-A-C to 474747. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks again to our friends at Purple Mattresses. And if you buy a purple mattress, I'll send you something signed for free.
It's something good, huh?
I'll tell you what, too. If you combine that purple mattress with the blue chew, you got
That's
a good
what
combo
I'm
there.
saying. Yeah, soft and hard at the same time.
There it is. There it is, guys. You're not going to get a better commercial than that.
Yeah, so let's take a break right now. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, and we have Brody King in studio, and we're talking about purple mattresses and blue chews and soft and hard at the same time. But hey, so there's been some news about you, but it's not necessarily official, so we're not going to get I don't know if you can comment on any of that, but things are going well for you. We can just say that, right?
Oh, yeah. Things are going very well.
Yeah, and professionally.
Yep.
And personally.
Yep.
Right on.
Really? We're just going to leave it at that?
Well,
the
go
rumors for
ahead.
everyone out there who may not know are that Brody has signed with Ring of Honor. Brody, what do you say? This is the first you're hearing of this?
Yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right.
Okay, then.
We have a denial, folks. An official denial.
So, all right. Go ahead.
Brody, one of the things that you were talking about earlier before we went on the break was the New Japan Dojo. So I wanted to know, what has it been like for you training there, and what has been, I guess you can say, the most eye-opening thing?
Well, I only got the opportunity to train with Shibata at the dojo when it was first opening. So it was what he was going to use as a curriculum for the camps that they started. But I mean, just in that small time that I had with him, the amount of detail that he puts into literally every movement is unreal. He had us going over the most basic of stuff, lockups, headlocks, running the ropes. And it's I felt like a different wrestler coming out of it, thinking about how to apply a headlock more, with his direction, because it's it's just the movements that people kind of just go through, and he thinks about every little bit. But once you put that all together, you have a wrestler like Shibata who's just unlike anyone else.
And every little you're talking about the movements, people do the moves, but it's the movements inside the move.
Yeah, it's the way that he leans on the person.
Yes,
but
and all the crispness and the explosiveness and the
and how to make it look stiff without killing your opponent and stuff like that.
Not making it look like you're just going out there and okay, I'm grabbing, because it gets to you. It's really easy to start getting into a routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Brody?
And the way that he ran the ropes was the most eye-opening, the way that he jumps into it and kind of stomps and then lunges off of it. Because some guys, it'll look like they're just kind of skipping while running the ropes.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, it looks like he's trying to attack the rope and then attack his opponent. Like, I don't know. It's very interesting to watch him work.
Do you notice a big difference between your initial training and that type of training? Like, I mean, obviously there's similarities, but I just noticed like it's this. I mean, I was gonna say apples and oranges, but it's not. They're just two different kind of oranges.
Yeah, I mean, like at least
blood orange and
at least where I train at Santino Brothers.
Yeah,
they are very they're very big on the basics.
Yeah,
like there's a whole beginners training that's about 3 months long where you barely get into like a hip toss at the end of it. But it's like within that you're like trying to make every movement count and you're trying to make everything look as real as possible. But I mean, the way that Shibata comes at it is like, it's like going from, high school to a master class in like college.
Gotcha.
It's like getting your PhD. Mm-hmm. Like the way he thinks about wrestling is unlike anyone else.
Well, I think it's interesting that, that the way that they're doing it, and sort of one of the things that I was wondering was how they were going to sort of make it similar to what they're doing in Japan. So sort of like what they're doing here and what they're doing in Japan is still like a little bit different, and how they're going to sort of merge that in. But I guess my question to you is, now that you've experienced that training with them, do you think that, because I, as a personal preference, love the idea of having guys start off, without a gimmick, with only a basic set of moves, and then sort of growing into becoming the wrestler that they can become. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on that specific way of coming about as a wrestler?
I mean, like I said, I only got to do a little bit with Shibata. I haven't been able to do a full camp, which I would definitely like to do in the coming year. But, I mean, these guys, they, do 1,000 squats a day, and they do 1,000 line push-ups a day, or whatever their training regimen is. And I think it is really cool because there is a lot of guys, they always say, take yourself and turn it up to 10, but it's like, if you're a boring person, then you're a boring person.
Yeah, you're boring at
I mean,
crank up the boring a little bit.
Not to say that these guys are boring at all, but that teaches you a different discipline and a different mindset. Like, doing that much physical labor every day, and like having you become just a wrestler, and then having someone be like, all right, well, try this gimmick now. I don't think you would have guys like Finn Balor if you didn't have that like disciplined regimen. Like, and even guys like Juice Robinson, like, he did his thing at WWE and it wasn't working out for him, and he left and was like, hey, I want to be part of the New Japan Dojo. It's like, he probably could have just went and did matches with New Japan, but he's like, I need to be... It
gets you in a different mindset.
Yeah. It changes you as a person. I truly believe that. And I think that what they're doing is awesome. And, obviously I don't know firsthand, like you'd have to ask the Young Lions here in LA themselves, but I think what they're doing is really cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Like you were asking about, or mentioning, Denise, it's not going to be... exactly the same as how they do it in Japan. It's a totally different culture. So, I mean, but as close as possible, I think is the best. Brody, I was talking, what I was trying, sometimes I have a hard time spitting things out. What I was trying to get at a little bit ago was when we were talking about, like, the news story that you were, about you 2 weeks ago. I mentioned, that you're perfect size heavyweight. You're a big motherfucker.
Right.
But you're not, so big that you can't work with a guy my size.
Right.
Or, you may be a little bit smaller. Yet you can work with anyone. You can work with any of the bigger heavyweight. Like, not that you're not a big heavyweight. That's how I'm trying to say. What I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's ideal, man. Like, you can make money with a lot. It gives you way more possibilities for opponents.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard you mention that on Twitter last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that felt really cool, because I think that there is like that threshold where, like, if you're too big, then it's like not believable if you're working with like a cruiserweight or a lighter guy. But then, like, if you're like 6 foot, then you're kind of stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
So I do like that I can have a match that's fast paced and maybe like show off someone's high flying ability, but then also go in the match or go in the ring with like Walter and slug it out.
Yeah, and also you also sell, and you know you've a lot of bigger guys, they get in their heads that okay, I shouldn't sell or I shouldn't do this for certain people, but like when you do that, it, like I said, it gets people used to you being able to be vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of guys, well, I don't know about a lot of guys, at least from my personal experience. Some people have never been punched in the face before.
That's crazy to me. That someone in wrestling has never been punched in the face. It never used to be like that.
And I promise you that a little guy can hit you just as hard as a big guy can. So I don't mind, selling a kick to the face.
Sure.
Like someone like Andre the Giant kicked me in the head.
Yeah.
Because it sucks no matter what. So.
Hey, so are you like? I see your style evolving a little bit. I see you out there trying different things and new things. I think it's pretty cool. Any stuff that you tried and wanted to do that you decided, maybe that's not for me?
I mean, when I first started wrestling, I'd say like my first year, I was like dead set on being like the biggest luchador I can be.
Yeah.
Because I had like a very heavy like lucha-based training at Santino Brothers.
Yeah.
Zocre and Phoenix Star are the lucha trainers there, and they're incredible. They're like old PWG guys that kind of like helped define that style.
Yeah.
And they showed us how to, put lucha and American psychology together. And I was actually able to do a lot of the stuff like moonsaults and crazy rope tricks and stuff like that, which now I understand that that's like, if I'm doing that stuff in the opening spot, then it doesn't translate as well as like if I'm like, the lariat, pile driver guy, but then like at the end of the match, it's like, holy shit, he just did like a tope con hilo. Or like,
yeah, but okay, I'm gonna tell you what's sticking out in my mind is the little tribute to Owen Hart.
Oh yeah.
You guys got his arm and he goes up to the ropes and he hops up on that top rope, bounces his ass off and does a backflip. Yeah. I don't know. Did you hip toss him out of that?
I arm drag him both and then I dive over. Yeah, that's like kind of like my go-to when especially when people like. For instance, the last time I did that was at Limitless. I'm pretty sure that's the clip you saw.
Yeah.
But I've had probably 5 or 6 matches this year at Limitless, and most of the time I was like a heavyweight wrestler.
Yeah.
Like I was doing lariats and boots and pile drivers and power bombs. So that was like the first time they saw me do something like that, and everyone's like, "What the hell?" Like, he could do all that and he could do that. So, and that's kind of where I've come with my style. Is like I like to keep that stuff a little bit more hidden. Yeah. Sometimes, depending on the match, like if I'm at PWG, it might be a little bit crazier, but I like to keep it a little more subtle and then like pull that stuff out at the end.
Yeah. So when you go to different indie promotions, do you have to adjust? Like, do you notice the crowds are different at different ones?
Oh yeah.
Like that they like different things.
Yeah. I mean, I just experienced that on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like. In Chicago or in Illinois, I worked for a company called AAW.
Yeah, and I've been there.
And they have their Bourbon Street shows, and they have their like their bigger Chicago shows are like very indie based and they're very crazy. But then they have LaSalle, which is like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it used to be run by
Dreamwave. Yeah. So that crowd is very more like family, like maybe like WWE based.
Yeah.
So they're not.
They buy the Gaga a little bit more.
They buy the Gaga way more. So it's like we watched a 6-man tag with the Rascals in it and like AR Fox, and they're doing like mind blowing stuff that the crowd just isn't quite getting.
Yeah.
And like if this was at PWG, it would blow the roof off. And there it was like, whoa, that was cool. But then like me and Eddie Kingston went out, and Eddie's like, they don't want to see this shit. Let's just go fight. So it was like, then we just like started brawling and like fighting and hitting each other, and like we brawled all around the building, and then we went in the ring and started hitting each other with lariats and pile drivers, and that's what like was getting them fired up. Yeah, and it's impressive. Someone like Eddie, he can immediately read the crowd and tell what the difference is, but.
There might be people that don't know Eddie Kingston, and they should go out of their way to get to know him.
He's one of the best.
Excellent. Yeah.
One of the best promos ever.
Yeah. Well, because like that's really him.
Yep.
And then just I'm a big fan of the guy.
Me too.
He was actually a Chikara, like a big star in Chikara, and like if you really looked at Chikara and looked at him, it's like a square peg in a round hole, man. But somehow it worked.
It's like a thug from Yonkers.
You ever go to Chikara?
Oh yeah.
How was it?
No, I haven't worked there. I've watched it. Like that was like one of the first indie promotions that like got me like to want to do so because Claudio and Chris Hero and Quack doing all the insane stuff, and watching Claudio and Chris was like the reason I wanted to be a bigger, more athletic guy.
Do you like working with smaller guys or guys your own size?
I mean, I usually have very different matches with both, but I like them both in their own way. I think I like matches with bigger guys because I can sell more and like be a little bit more physical. Yeah. But like the stuff like basing for little guys is cool, and like being able to like if I have a match with like Eli Everfly, I can throw him from like corner to corner on the Beal throw. Yeah. But if I'm with Walter, we're just gonna like slug it out, and I don't know. I find both of them to be equally as fun.
I don't know. You guys want to get on this?
PWG was always like, no, they don't book locals anymore. They don't book locals anymore. How did you get your foot in the door and kick it down for all the other locals that are working there now?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'd heard like rumors that they were gonna start looking at local guys because I think the talent pool in Southern California has evolved so much since like the initial run of guys in California, and I know guys like Rick Knox and Justin Borden, they were pushing for me, and there was a couple guys I think had mentioned my name, but I wasn't expecting it at all, and I was a last minute replacement for Matt Seidel. He got injured, and I had actually just landed in Dayton. I was going to do Pro Wrestling Revolver with Sami Callihan on Friday, and Rick Knox messaged me. He was just like, "Hey, check your email." And it was an email from Super Dragon. It was like, "Hey, can you do PWG on Friday?" I was like, yes. Yeah. So it was like, called Sammy, and Sammy's like, "You better get back to California." So I literally got to Dave Christ's house and then immediately went back to the airport and flew home.
So how did you feel after your first match at PWG?
It was unreal. I got to debut in Reseda and, got the "Please Come Back" chant. And it's like with all the excitement and nerves and also the match like quality, I was really blown.
And there's very little oxygen in that
very
building.
little, and it's so hot.
Well, after a huge appearance like that, do you feel pressure to keep the momentum going? Or even now when people are talking about maybe you have a huge new step in your career, does the pressure get to you at all?
No, but I'm definitely always thinking about like how I can up my game or do something different. And it's like sometimes what you're doing is good enough, but it's never good enough for me, and I don't think it should be for anybody. Right. Like everybody should be trying to step up to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like having these incremental, like, like some people, if it's important to have short-term goals that you achieve. Right. You have the long-term one, but you have to have those short-term ones in there too. And I'm not sure if that's how you did it. But
yeah, well, unfortunately, my long-term goals came a lot faster than I thought they would. So
that's unfortunate.
That's awesome.
I mean, like, for me, I was like, oh, someday I'm gonna wrestle for PWG, and then it was just like 3 years into my career. It's like that takes guys 8 to 10 years sometimes. So it was like. It was really crazy, and I'm like, I guess I gotta make more goals. Yeah.
Any idea on how you fast tracked everything?
Work hard.
Yeah. I mean, pretty good attitude too.
Yeah. I mean, I try to get along with almost anybody, and I don't know, my work ethic is pretty good. Yeah. Like, I have a full-time job that I work Monday through Friday, and then I also train 5 days a week. So it's like my normal schedule. I'd get up at 5 a.m., go to work until about 4, and then I'd go to training until 10, and then go to bed around 11:30. Yeah. So it's like I do that 5 days a week for a year and a half, and I don't know. It seemed to pay off.
I know so many people, that their whole goal is like, I want to do this so I don't have to have my other job, and you're like, I want to keep my other job. You dig it, huh?
I don't really like it.
No, but you sure like what comes along with it. I guess
it is fun. Like, it is cool to see. Like, for those who don't know, I do set lighting for movies and TV, and I've been a union member for 13 years. My dad...
Not exactly your boring blue-collar factory job.
Yeah,
right?
my dad did it before me, and my grandfather did it before him. So, I get to see cool movie sets or TV shows and meet actors or whatever, but it's not what I love to do.
Yeah.
But it is a very good living, and it has afforded me a good lifestyle where I bought a house in Los Angeles, that type of thing. Yeah. But if I don't think I could sacrifice the life that I have right now to have like a starting rate at somewhere like WWE, where it's like $50,000 a year. Yeah, that's like that would be a huge blow to me in my personal life. So it's like the stuff that I have coming up that I cannot confirm nor deny. Yeah. I'm able to do my job part-time, which is like the best part-time job in the world, because when you want work, you can look for it. When you don't look for it. And so I can do that, and I can do my wrestling career full-time.
And that's a great thing to be able to have that choice, because, I mean, usually it's like, okay, you want to do that. Because I know Kevin Nash, when he got into wrestling, he quit he was, running the head security, I think, at the Cheetah in Atlanta, and he was making, I think, $100,000, six figures, and he had to, take a pay cut to get into wrestling,
right?
And there's no valor. Like, if you don't have to do that, like you shouldn't do it just so you can go, oh, I took a pay cut to be in wrestling. That's how much I love it. But
yeah,
I mean, that's great. That all I'm saying is it's great that that's how wrestling is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do take a pay cut, but it doesn't. I love wrestling, and it's like I love doing it. It makes me happy. So it's like if I'm getting paid $100 at a show at first, it's like I would make way more than that at work, but I don't like being at work.
So you love wrestling, which you love more, the wrestling or the music?
I mean, before it would definitely be music, but there's no money in music.
Yeah.
But now it's definitely like wrestling has consumed my whole life.
Are you is the music taking backseat to that right now?
Not really. I mean, my band, we just did like a 6 demo. We just recorded like 6 demos for a new LP.
Nice.
So we'll still be doing that. It's just balancing everything. Plus, I'm having a kid in February. So.
Oh, yeah. Congrats,
Thanks.
man. Do we know yet?
It's a boy, yeah.
Oh, that's tremendous, man.
That's really soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like I have a lot of stuff on my plate, but somehow I'm able to balance it all. I mean,
hey, is there
my wife
crossover
is really
in your...
awesome.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step all over your words there. Is there a crossover in your fans, like in the
there's actually
and the wrestling?
Quite a bit of a crossover. Like a lot of hardcore punk kids for some reason grew up or are big wrestling fans.
Yeah,
and it's cool to have that. I kind of like cornered that market with like one swoop. It's like before that was like CM Punk, but now there's like someone that they know, that they've seen for years, that is part of their world and can represent them properly.
So, like, your fan base, do you think they're mostly straight edge as well? Or not necessarily?
I don't know.
Is that even a thing for you?
Nah, it doesn't matter to me.
Right on.
I mean, I have friends that, I've hung out while they do coke all night.
Gotcha.
And it's like it doesn't matter to me as long as they're alive and healthy, I guess.
I've had friends that have hung out while I've done coke all night, so we have something in common.
Well, you've been a lot of places. You've wrestled a lot of people. I want to know who's somebody that you've sort of been like, oh man, like kind of starstruck about that you were in the ring with.
In wrestling?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, recently, that was Bob Holly, I guess.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
GCW.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I grew up watching Bob. I grew up watching the Tough Enoughs, where he was always like really hard on the students and, being like, wrestling is a hard business. You got to be tough. And I was always like, yeah. And then being in the ring with him, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And like the first thing he, said, what do you want to do? I said, you want to give me an Alabama Slam? He's like, yep. I was like, all right.
Hey, did he give you a drop kick?
No.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he didn't give me a drop kick.
Oh, I'm going to tell you what.
Give me a spear and an Alabama Slam.
no one do a better drop kick than Bob. I mean, there might have been a few that threw just as good, but man, no one threw on good as Bob. I love teaming with Bob.
It's also like 55.
Yeah,
and like
looks pretty damn good, right?
Yeah. And like he picked me up like I was weightless, like nothing.
And he's at a different place in his life too, where he doesn't. He's not carrying around that big chip on his shoulder he used to carry around.
Yeah, he's
a really, really good guy.
He was really awesome. Yeah, really easy to work with, and I couldn't ask for a better opponent.
Speaking of opponents, a PWG comes back to the Globe Theater January 18th. You're facing Jungle Boy in his debut at PWG. How do you feel about this?
I mean, it's almost kind of like a full circle thing. Like, almost a year from when I debuted, another California kid is debuting, and he has all the tools I feel like you need to get over. I mean, he looks cool. He does cool stuff. Like he's got this like mystique about him. I feel like he doesn't say much, but he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
And I mean his dad was is Luke Perry, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I know he's trying to like kind of do his thing without riding on that.
Yeah, everybody knows. Everyone's already blown up his spot, but he definitely like didn't want people to know. I think at first, but then like you go to a UEW show, which was like a promotion in East LA. Yeah. And it's like this shitty little warehouse, and you see like Luke Perry cheering on.
Actually, Luke's coming on the show. He's been really busy lately. Actually, I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, well, we've been trying to track him down.
No, he left me a message saying, hey, just want to let you know I didn't forget about you.
Okay.
But yeah, Jungle Boy's really good, and I think next year he's gonna turn a lot of heads. Good. I mean, Joey Janela is like he has this knack of like finding these people that otherwise nobody knew about, like PCO or like Marco Stunt, and just like he puts them in the right spot and then just shoots them to the moon. And I think he kind of used Jungle Boy as his little project in LA, and obviously something worked. Good. I met him when I met you, actually, because he was kind of doing like he seemed like he was kind of like a almost young boyish at this championship wrestling from Hollywood for a second. Yeah, I mean, like also in the same vein, I feel like Jungle Boy has been severely underutilized within the Southern California scene. Like I don't think even a lot of people that live here know who he is.
Right.
And it's gonna kick a lot of people. They're like, damn it, we should have used him when we could have.
Hey, are like the Jungle Boy persona, is that like a work in progress, or are we sticking with that?
I don't know. I mean, like
I don't know. How did we get off on the Jungle Boy?
Okay.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill him.
Well, what was it like working with PCO and being in the back as he's like, I'm going to do a moonsault onto the ring apron?
PCO is insane. He is absolutely crazy, and I'm definitely convinced he's not human. I mean, Walter calls him the rubber man just because he takes these insane bumps and just jumps right back up, and he's like, yeah, I'm fine. You're like, how?
It's pretty much the same. Carl, Pierre, however you put. It's the same stuff as when I used to work with him when he was one of the Quebecers. He can still do the exact same shit.
Yeah. Did you work with him a lot back in?
A lot. Yeah, Marty Jannetty and I won the tag titles from those guys, from Jacques and Pierre.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we, every night for a long time we worked with those guys. And then Scott Hall and I worked with them. PCO, I'm glad he's coming back around the wrestling scene. Wrestling's heating up, and if he can come get a piece of all this, I'm really happy for that guy.
He's one of the nicest humans I've ever met.
Yeah, for not being human.
Completely insane.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I want to hold on. Where is it? It's right here. All right. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. I do.
Don't do it.
I did it once. Well, I got caught once. You could get in a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But let's take a moment to look at some surprising statistics. Almost 29 people in the United States die every day in alcohol-impaired vehicle crashes. That's one person every 50 minutes. Even though drunk driving fatalities have fallen by a third in the last 3 decades, drunk driving crashes still claim more than 10,000 lives each year. Drunk driving can have a big impact on your wallet, too. You could get arrested and incur huge legal expenses. You could possibly even lose your job. So what can you do to prevent drunk driving? Plan a safe ride home before you start drinking. Designate a sober driver or call a taxi. I call Uber or Lyft. But if you want to call a taxi, call a taxi. If someone you know has been drinking, take their keys and arrange for them to get a sober ride home.
That's not usually the easiest thing sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, a fight can occur over trying to get those keys.
It's happened, yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it's always worth it. Yeah. But yeah, it can be anyways. So we all know the consequences of driving drunk, but one thing's for sure, you're wrong if you think it's no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. Is that all of it?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm convinced.
I like that PSA.
So, hey, Brody, to me, like of all the like the independent promotions, like you're the all-star of them, of guys that like I think, like I saw you up in Defy.
Yeah.
Like you're one of his favorite guys up there.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine it not being the same. And like I don't get to the other promotions like a lot of the cool promotions like you work for, they don't bring me in.
Which is unfortunate because I've seen you now and it's just as impressive.
I still do a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of it though. Because
my favorite was watching you give that heel kick. And I told him to put his hand up.
And also, like, that was the same guy that didn't want to take a bump on the first one.
Well, he got it on the second.
Is that the Defy tag match?
Yeah.
Oh, I watched that last night.
Did you?
Crushed.
Oh, yeah, I did. Dude with the dreads, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Or at bar wrestling when you did the float over drop kick.
Oh, the pop up over thingy? Yeah. Smoke and mirrors.
You still got it.
Oh, whatever. So, hey, you guys want to, any more stuff you want to hit Brody with?
I just want to know, you got to work a lot with Keven Sullivan at PCW, and
he
even picked you out of a seminar to be like his next protege.
Yep.
Talk about that.
Kevin's awesome.
He is.
I mean, even just, hanging out with him and talking about whatever is awesome, but listening to him talk about wrestling is really cool. And I would always try to sit by him, like, in Gorilla and watch videos with him, and not even ask questions, just hear what he had to say, like the comments that he makes on matches, and he still has like such a good brain for wrestling. It's crazy.
For sure.
And like he's a guy that he never settles in like, this era was the best era of wrestling.
Nope.
Like I watched him talk about, a heavyweight match where 2 guys are killing each other and like give comments about that, and then he watched like Joey Ryan do a dick flip and he's just like, that was great. Like I was thoroughly entertained, and I can understand why people like to see that. And I think that's really important for veterans to, and you're the same way. Like you watch wrestling not as like a generational thing, but as as a art form as a whole.
It's man, it's the attitude, and it's the when some of us our age, or it's like a generational thing, yeah. Because a lot of the guys that are in my wrestling generation are way older than me, actually.
That's true.
But nonetheless, we can get like bitter and like there's a lot of sour grapes and like this shit nowadays and they're not doing it right. And
when you put your body through so much, you want to believe that what you did was the best.
Well, it was the best at the time.
Yeah.
And that's all we can. That's all we can do. And we topped the generation before us, and you guys have topped us, and that's just the way it is. And I hate seeing when some of us just have such a hard time with that shit.
Yeah.
There are some things that have been lost a little bit, but there are some things that have been gained as well.
Yeah, like Chaos, my trainer, he always says to like the kids that are debuting. He's like, you guys are so much better wrestlers than I ever was.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I'm just here to kind of give you the peace of mind, like my advice.
Yeah.
And I think it's true is that, you know, the guys from his generation or your generation, like you guys have taught the people that turned into trainers, like the Lance Storms and stuff. Like Lance is one of the best technical wrestlers ever, and like he's teaching how he was or how he would want to be taught to this new generation. And it's like you have these guys that are like, they start off as awesome wrestlers. Now they just got to figure out the psychology part of it. Where when you guys were breaking in, it's like no one wanted to teach you guys. So you guys had to pick up stuff as you went.
Sure. Well, guys used to be fairly selfish with the knowledge until you had to be in the ring with them.
Yeah.
And then they got to smarten you up.
Yeah.
You know? So that was the cool thing.
So, and it's like now the curtain is so far pulled back that I think it's almost like the opposite way. Like you almost need to start teaching people, like, you know, in the ring, the lessons in the ring instead of giving them all of the tools at once.
Yeah, for sure. So is that it, everyone?
I think that was great.
All right.
I mean,
hey, so
over an hour.
Do you have any merch? Do you have an online store, website, or anything?
I have a big cartel. It's BrodyXKing.BigCartel.com and Twitter and Instagram at BrodyXKing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming in today, man.
I appreciate you
having me. It
having
means a lot to me. Give us some of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I've enjoyed
Thank you, Jimbo.
watching your journey so far, and I'm really, really looking forward to watching you continue to grow.
Well, you've been one of my favorite people to interact with because I grew up as such a big fan of yours. So, yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Brody King. Thank you so much,
Brody.
Brody. All right.
This Saturday, you'll be at the Wrestling Guy store from 2 to 4, taking pictures in the Santa hat.
Yeah,
Come
I
by.
think I'll wear the Santa hat. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I can take it off, and we don't have to take the picture in front of the tree. Lula will be there with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone that shows
and you're
up.
gonna have those awesome shirts available for sale.
Yeah, these shirts that everyone always asks me about, these D-Generation X NWO mashup shirts that I rarely have. I will have them at Wrestling Guy store, and even some pins. So we'll see you guys out there. Thanks again, everyone. Hey, Christy.
Yeah.
83 Weeks. Talk about it.
Yes, we just got picked up by the official 83 Weeks YouTube channel.
Yes.
And Eric Bischoff is calling in weekly to give us 20 minutes of Q&A. That's every week. So make sure you check us out on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts. And submit your questions using hashtag #After83Weeks. Thank you, Sean.
Cool.
Nice.
All right, everyone. See you right here next week. Hey, on X-Pac 12360 AfterBuzz TV.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.